everyone. Today we got to play La Granja. So there is a deluxe version coming out on Kickstarter, has already came out, and we wanted to get it out and play it because we hadn't before to see if we wanted to back it. And so this is our review of the game. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because you love board games and that's what we do here. All right.
We assume you love board games. You may not love board games, but either way, you should hit the subscribe button because we love board games.
Well, everyone loves board games.
Well, not everybody. I'm sure there's people out there that don't like board games, and this would not be the right channel for them, but they should subscribe anyway.
All right, guys. Brandon, tell us more about this particular game.
All right. La Granja was originally released in 2014. It has a Board Game Geek rating of 7.7 currently and a rank of 190.
That's really good.
Yeah, for being that old, yep. 1 to 4 players, 90 to 120 minutes in length average, age 12 and up. Designed by Michael Keller and Andreas Odendahl. Art by Harold Liesk. And published by Stronghold Games. Amazon's currently got this for $49.99. We found on Card House, it's got it for $41. So you can get it roughly $42 to $50. So I got it when Stronghold had a sale where they had a bunch of games where you bundled it for $100 and you got like 10 plus games for that. So I paid very little for this game. And I hadn't got it to the table yet. It's been sitting on the shelf for a long time. So when I saw the deluxe version out there, I'm like, well, I'm curious now. So, because you know me, I'm addicted to deluxe versions.
He is. It's a thing.
And also, I knew a lot of people would be looking for reviews and such on it, so it seemed like a good time to play it and get our thoughts
pull it
on
out.
it.
All right, so let's talk about quality of pieces. So there are a lot of cardboard chips, and you also have some wooden pieces. So your wooden pieces count for all the resources, right? You just move them to different locations to signify the different ones, and each player has their own player character. You also use them as you fulfill orders on the board, and as well as placement on the board. So we didn't use the money. The dice are wooden dice. Very old school, very old.
They're very reminiscent of what you get in like the Grand Austria Hotel and games like that. This actually has some similarities to Grand Austria Hotel. When we get into gameplay, we'll talk about.
All right. So you got your victory point tokens. We didn't end up using these. We ended up using our poker chips. Just because
Same for the money.
Same for the money because Randy's a snob.
That's right. Pretty much.
Pretty much. The coins themselves, I mean, they have a nice little thing on them, but again, they're just more cardboard chips.
The cards are linen finished, which is kind of surprising. But they're nice quality. They're
good thickness.
Yeah, they're pretty good cards.
Yeah, so overall, I mean, these are pretty good. But considering all the other stuff, I would probably give the 6 strictly because of the cards giving it a
I like the way the player boards are designed. They just have some functionality issues because of the fact that when you slide the cards under, it's easy to shift it around and the cards kind of just slide everywhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that might go towards gameplay because the way they structured it is really meant for gameplay, and I think that's pretty good. But, I mean, what would you score it then if...
I mean, I think a 6 is fair. I mean, there's nothing outstanding about the components. I just think it's a unique system with the board. The central board, there's nothing special about it. The wooden pieces and the cardboard are all meh.
Yeah, I mean, I think hopefully with this deluxe, they'll have maybe inlay boards.
Well, these are triple layered, so they have one where you slide underneath and they're inlaid on the top. So the boards are really cool. That's one of the big selling points. All the wood is screen printed.
Ooh, how exciting!
Yeah, there's a lot of upgrades in the set.
Kickstarter,
and of course, there's absolutely no reason for it.
You backed it already, didn't you?
There is, yes. La Granja, we kind of ruined it now. Now they know.
We didn't know that you were already.
In addition to the deluxe La Granja, they have a deluxe La Granja, which is the ginormous sized board that takes up your entire table. So you have I think that the
so Mom could see it.
Mad King Ludwig and the Suburbia, they're taking a page out of their book.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree because I just know like my mom's like I can't see that. So if you cut. I mean, heck, you're like that. And now, but if you, sometimes, I gotta admit, I like some of the bigger board games sometimes because it's a lot easier to see. There's
just something cool about having the big pieces too.
Yeah, I think there's some texture, but when it starts to overflow on the different games, it's where you're
it's not going to be practical to play a big one on this table, but
no. All right. So overall quality pieces, you gave it 6. I gave it a 6. Now let's talk about theme. So the theme is you're building a farm.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, in here in the book it says, in La Granja, 1 to 4 players control small farms by the Alpich Pond near the village of Esporles on the island of Majorca. I have no idea where any of those places are, and I probably mispronounced every one of them.
It's an island.
Yeah.
Off of someplace.
So that's basically all the theme you get.
And that's right. That's about the theme as far as you get it.
But you're definitely running a farm, and but it really doesn't. It's widgets on this game. I mean, it's completely layered on.
I mean, yes, it is complete.
But the cards are very thematic to the farm. I mean, I like the way the cards worked. They had different functions, which we'll get to in the gameplay how the cards work. But the actions on the cards made sense with what the title of them were, and that they made sense with this farming community.
Yeah, I mean that part, but it still wasn't very heavy.
No, it's definitely not heavy.
What would you score it as far as theme?
I mean,
because the artwork isn't even that.
No, the art reminds me very reminiscent of the Castles of Burgundy. Especially the central board. The central board. I was like, oh, looks like Castles of Burgundy when I got it out.
I could see that. I could see that.
So
I think it aged a little bit better than Castles of Burgundy because of color palette, though. But not much.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, there's a new version of Castles of Burgundy where they tried to improve the color and they made it worse. So the original Castles of Burgundy looks better than the deluxe version.
Oh, really? I remember it.
But, well, we didn't get the deluxe version because I didn't see any reason to, because it didn't upgrade anything, so, in my opinion. So, I'll probably give this a 6.5. I mean, if it weren't for the cards being thematic and adding to, I probably wouldn't have given it more than a 5.5, maybe.
I'm probably going to give it a 6, even with the cards, mainly because I'm thinking about Catan. This is just as thematic as Catan. The only difference is you got a few named locations and the cards did match a little bit. So I'm willing to give it a 6 compared to our normal standard of 5. All right, so now let's talk about Rulebook. So you read the Rulebook. I didn't listen to it. What was your...
So that's absolutely new.
No, it's not. Not really, no.
There's 2 Rulebooks. One is actually the true Rulebook. The other is a glossary. The glossary was very handy. Each card is numbered and referenced in the book. Now, the only problem is some of those numbers, the card just is pictured and there's absolutely no text. Why on earth they took a space, didn't bother to put any text whatsoever.
Well, what happened is one day they were drinking and they were on the formatting and they accidentally pressed the delete button. That's what I did.
If nothing else, you could have reiterated the text in the book. So you have the space to put text in and you don't use it. It's just a complete waste. And especially if somebody's like, I have some confusion on a card, and then you open it up and try to find the card and there's nothing there.
That actually happened to us.
It's almost like you're a moron if you don't understand the card, because it's just, that's what the impression you get is like, oh, they didn't bother to give me any more information on that card. Obviously, I should have understood it. So, it seemed like a wasted opportunity. But the main rule book is actually longer than you expect. It's actually 20 pages long. And that's because there is a lot going on in this game. There's a lot of steps in the game, and they give you a cheat card, which it
was helpful.
It's helpful, but it's not great. It's iconography, completely iconography.
I had to know the game for it to make sense.
I'm not even sure what on the back is for. So I assume the back is just for victory points, and the front is the actual flow of the game, but it doesn't. It's just pictures, and it could have been more useful. It steps you through, though, and we didn't really have that much confusion once we got going. There's a lot of little quirky things that you have to know with each step, though, that are not depicted on there. So you just kind of have to have read the rules and well enough to know that you need to remember all those things.
Yeah.
The rules are laid out decently. They actually use an indexing system where they reference to like 2.4 or 2.5. Then
that would have been helpful.
Each step is 2.51. So it feels like you're doing a RFP for a proposal for your job or a project or something, because it's just...
You know what that is?
I just been working on one, so yes.
Well, I don't know what that is.
Okay. So anyway, it's just, it feels like a business document almost. But it's effective. It gets you sectioned and you can reference the numbers and look them up. So all in all, I mean, it's a heavy read because it's just all text almost. There's a few pictures, but what it didn't have was a good examples. That was one of the things that was missing. It referenced things and then it didn't really tell you, like, if player 1 does this or player 2 does that. There's none of that in this book, which is kind of odd because almost every rule book you see has examples where they show that. So there's like, this one is this player has an income, but it's basically just a picture of it. It doesn't say what the actions are doing or stepping through the actions. It's just, that's the closest you get to a player action.
Yep.
I'm going to probably give this a 6. I don't think it's great. It got the rules across. So it's a slow read. It took me a few tries to get through it. And I was, for part of it, feeling like I'm not going to get this read in time for us to do the gameplay that night. But, you know, we made it. We got it through. We played it and enjoyed the game, which we'll get to in a minute. So.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about gameplay. So I'm going to use this kind of cheat sheet. So you end up with your hand limit. So your hand size changes based on, we'll talk about this upgrading point. So
default of 3, but at the beginning of the game you get 4 cards because on the first round, but unlike other rounds, you'll get to play 2 of those cards.
Yeah, so you get 4 cards here. So then you look at it because there's a couple of things going on. So each card can has a possible of 4 uses. So the top portion is if you want to make it an order, and in that case you put it on the north side of your player board. If you want to increase your farm or make your farm more beautiful or whatever, give it special abilities, you're going to use this side of the card and you will slide it under to expose only that side. If you want to use this special, so there's ongoing benefits on this section, so you'll slide it under this way.
And you can have 3 of those. They're considered helpers.
Yep. So, or you could decide to grow your fields, and it can become a field, and you can do that. Okay. So there's a lot of things going on each single card, and you have to decide what makes the most sense. Like, okay, do I want to build my farm right now? And each time you build your farm, it becomes a lot more expensive. I only ended up growing it 2. I think you ended up growing it 3 just because resources are hard to come by in this game. Let me tell you. So that you pick, for every card that's already over here, you pay an additional unit. So like your first card's 1, your second one's going to cost 2
resources. But they have to be different resources.
Yes, and then if your third is 3 resources, and then your fourth one's 4 resources. So they're getting to a point where you can only probably have so many, but honestly, that's a lot of resources for not much gain, considering there's only 6 rounds. So, and then, like I said, so then there's the growing of the field. So you get to play the 2 cards at the first round, but moving after that, it's 1 card. So I have to decide what's best. Now, obviously, at the beginning of the game, you do start with 1 victory point and 1 coin. So, not going to lie, probably the first thing you're going to do is obviously build your farm. Now, I will say that I did not realize how important donkeys were at the beginning of the game. So we'll talk about why donkeys are important, but just so you know, they're kind of important.
I felt like everything was important. That's what I liked about this game. I mean, getting, there's products you get, and the pigs were very important, as it turned out, because they breed and they're useful for lots of different things.
Yeah, you did those.
That's how Kevin ran his engine.
Yes, and then coin income is very important, and then card holding is very important. All this stuff's very important. It is. You are correct. And I think the biggest thing is having that balance. And we'll talk about more. So anyway, on my turn, playing 2 cards, I advanced my farm by 1. I spent my money, had a victory point left, and then I increased my fields.
Whereas I put a helper in play on the first round, and I added to my farm or my fields. I didn't build anything on my farm on the first round.
Yeah. Now, but here's the thing though. I didn't have a good helper when I started out, or that made any sense to me so once I play my cards, then I go back up to my hand size. So because of this new card, now my hand size is 4. I have 2 in my hand, so I'm going to draw 2.
Now, in addition to the starting of 1 coin, 1 victory point, and the 4 cards you get at the beginning, you also get a crate. So in the middle of your board, there is a token for a crate.
Oh, right.
And that became very useful in the game because that basically gives you a free action to do anything you want when you spin the crate. So I actually played 3 cards because one of the actions you can take is to spend another or play another card.
Yeah.
So I spent it. You can use it to get 4 coin. You can get it 2 different products of produce variety. You can get wheat, olives, or grapes. You can either get a card or play a card, or you can get a free pig, or you can level up 2 of your goods to the upgraded version of the goods. I found it very useful to burn it to get a 3rd card, and that 3rd card is what I use to upgrade my farm.
Yeah, and that does make a lot of sense. So once you do that, then you do the income. So you drew up to your hand size, then you do the income phase. So you look over here, see if you have any income as far as money coin is concerned. You may end up with some income over here as well. And then you fill up your fields. Okay, so you'll take your color.
As a default, you do not have any income at the start of the game unless you've added cards that give you income.
Correct.
So the cards, some of them do, some of them don't. So it depends on what you have in your hand, whether you'll have any that give you any kind of monetary income.
Correct. And so then all the dice are rolled, and the number of dice rolled is based obviously on player count, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So you get 2 per player plus 1.
So we had a 3-player game. So then they go along on this board here.
And this is where it's very much like Grand Austria Hotel, because you're assigning all the dice to a location.
But you don't get the quantity of the number of dice.
Yes, you only get the die action. You don't get the volume of the dice count. So
right.
Whatever choice you make, you're going to pick in turn order one of these dice, and everybody will get 2 of them.
That's the best spread I have seen.
Yes, we got nothing. The entire game, we kept getting blanks all over the place. But here we got a complete dispersion.
I'll take a 1, please.
So
I don't want a piggy.
She takes a 1 that gives her a pig. So she takes one of her markers and puts it on the pig. There's at the default on your board, there's 2 holding pins for a pig.
Right.
If you, much like Agricola, if you get 2 animals, then they will breed 1 additional animal. Now, if you had 5 animals, they would still only breed 1 additional animal. But if you have at least 2 of them, they will breed an animal. And then the pigs were hard to come by, so I don't blame her for taking that. I'll probably go ahead and take the 4 coin, and I get that. We're going to get 2 dice among these, and once we've selected, because we're assuming Kevin's still here, our imaginary friend Kevin.
He's not an imaginary friend.
He's imaginary tonight.
Yeah.
So then we'd have 1 die left over. At that die, everybody shares. We all get to take that action. So the different actions, you get a pig, you can get a produce, one of the...
Or play a card.
Yeah, or draw or play a card. Or you can, I didn't even realize the card one was an option there. I should pay more attention to that.
You really didn't know I use that one all the time.
Then there's 2 produce of different types. Then there's 4 coin. You can upgrade 2 units, or you can upgrade 1 and move up on the siesta track, or you can go up 2 on the siesta track.
That siesta track made me a lot of money this last game.
It gives you victory points, and it also lets you determine turn order. So it's very important. And then the last one is you can get 2 money, or you can use a donkey. So
I want to talk about donkeys.
Let's talk about the donkeys.
All right. So you want to complete orders. Now, there's a couple of places you can get orders. You can get orders from cards that you play up here. There's also the orders on the board. And while you make it on your farm, you make the resources, they still have to get to the people that need them. And so you have these wonderful donkeys, okay? You've got 4, but now it takes time for them to travel now. So when you place one, all right, you won't get that for another 3 rounds. And then after which you get all your donkeys back and you can reset. You also have some additional donkeys over here that if you pay 1 coin, you get to use.
Or rent-a-donkeys.
They're rent-a-donkeys. Hey, people got to make their money. I ain't judging. All right. So with that, filling orders is one of the biggest components of this game, and oftentimes I was like, hey, I have all these resources. I can't get them to where I need to go. Which made me sad because I could have done a lot more if I had a little more donkeys.
So the donkeys are secretly drafted. You have tiles that have 1, 2, 3, or 4 donkeys on them. And whichever donkeys you don't get, if you get use your one that has 1 on it, you get 3 siesta levels on the siesta
which can help you with your turn order.
So yeah, if you sacrifice this round to not deploy units to the board as far as your selling items, then you'll get to move up and potentially get to move first next time, which gives you dibs at buying or taking the dice, which is nice.
Yeah. So and then after that, then you start.
Then you determine turn order.
Determine turn order. Then you do the donkeys, and then you spend money on donkeys. So your tiles go first.
That order is really important. Because there were several times where Kevin and I could have both completed the same order, but he moved up ahead of me on the track, and therefore, because you immediately changed turn order, he got to steal the placement, and you get all kinds of perks for being the first to make a delivery at a different location.
Oh, how sad.
Yes. So there's the deliveries. There's 2 different types, as we mentioned, on the board and on your player board. The different orders, and they work totally differently. So the ones on the board have specific victory point bonuses you get, and the ones on your player board give you victory points, but they let you place a token in the central board, which is kind of an area control aspect of the game, where you actually can bump other players off the board.
Yeah, I wasn't a big huge fan of that.
I figured that was going to be your least favorite part of the game, but you actually managed to hold on to your own in the middle there.
That's because I kept doing high numbers.
Yeah. So, but the higher number, the harder the order was to fill too. So you could fill a lot of smaller orders and get victory points for placing them, but you're probably going to get bumped because each round you score.
Unless you have a special ability that just lets you move over.
Yeah, that was kind of lame. Kevin had a card that basically saved him from being bumped. So
he just had to move over.
It was a double whammy because basically that meant instead of bumping him, everybody would bump me because it wouldn't make any sense to bump Kevin.
You bumped me all the freaking time. I don't want to hear it from him. All right. So you do that, and then the next phase is you get the victory points for what's on the board, and then you get victory points for your siesta level, and then.
Everybody resets the siesta level.
Yep, everyone resets the siesta level, and then...
And when you do a cleanup phase. Now, one thing we skipped over at the beginning, after you've gotten your produce from your farms, there's rooftops that are out here on the board. For each round, there's the number of players, there's rooftops available. So you can buy them, and they cost 1 coin per round. So round 1, they cost 1 coin. Round 6, they're going to cost 6 coins.
Which I found useful during level 1s and 2s and maybe 3s. But after that, I was like, whoa, this is pricey.
That's my biggest disappointment. The ability of the rooftops never improved until like the last round. They were
even then, they weren't great. Not 6 money worth. I just had 6 money laying around. It didn't give me nothing.
They do give you victory points as you move up. So if you cover up all your rooftops by the end, you're going to get 4 victory points in the last spot. So it gives you another way of scoring, which I liked.
All I got to say is you guys finished your guys' roof. Yeah. I won the game.
But coins are so hard to come by in this game. I mean, even though there's actions that let you get them, if they don't roll, we didn't roll 4s a few times.
No, but even then, you have other stuff you got to do. You got to... And here's the thing, though. I could have taken 4 coins, but it takes 4 coins to take a pig and make it into meat. So I might as well just take the 2 upgrade actions, Yeah. It was way cheaper. And so, money can be used to do a bunch of different actions, but the problem is it was so expensive to do anything. Yeah. You're better off just taking the action to do the thing.
Yeah. And one of the different things that you have to make deliveries for is coin. It costs 6 coin to finish a delivery to get the income to produce coin.
Finish it.
Yeah. Now, I will say, once you got that income to produce coin, you've already used it for the main purpose of delivering it, so you had much more coin for other purposes at that point, so getting the rooftops wasn't that big of a deal because I was producing like 5 coin every
Well,
round.
congratulations to you. You actually thought about completing stuff up here. Right.
So yeah, so I mean, it's an interesting puzzle because there's all kinds of things to do in this game. There's lots of ways to score, which is the games I love.
You do love those games. It's your favorites.
Yeah. So this one appealed to me because I like the mechanics of the cards. I love that the options you have with the cards. I thought that was awesome. And I just wish there were more of them.
I will say, I loved the combo I had. And I liked a lot of the cards I saw, but I would get a card and be like, that would be really good, but that doesn't fit what I currently have.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought that was super cool. And the fact that, that card would be super useful, just not for me right now because of this is the way. Because I had a bunch of stuff I got an extra victory point if I got a victory point on the siesta. If I choose to die to advance my siesta along with a couple of activities, I got to deliver something for free. And then there was so it all ended up having to do with the siesta track. And so I even got one that's like, if you have, 1 pig, you get to have offspring off the 1 pig or some other stuff. And I was like, that would have been useful, but not for what I'm doing right now. And I really liked a lot of the special mechanics. Now, some of them weren't that great, but there are a lot of them that were like, hey, that's pretty cool.
Well, I got ones that associated with making orders on my board. If I completed an order on my board, I got bonus coins. If I placed an order on my board, I could actually place one onto the central board as well. So I did a nice combo with that. That was very useful.
Yeah.
And then I got 2 coin anytime I took produce from a die roll. So there were a lot of things that I got to try to get coin because I could see that was going to be a scarce commodity. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out as well as I wanted because the dice didn't play nicely with the cards that I had. Plus, I don't think I optimized my options as far as the board. And the other thing is, I had no idea who was winning the entire game, and it was interesting because of that.
I did not think it was me.
Yeah, you won, and I suspected Kevin was winning.
10 points.
Yeah, you won fairly handily. I'd say that. Whereas Kevin, I thought, was winning the whole time, and it turns out he was basically the same score I was. Actually, I think I came in ahead of him.
Well, I really do think the fact that with the siesta combo, being able to automatically deliver a good, for me to also get that victory point, I had a really great combo, and it wasn't like, that's overpowered. No, it was just a slow accumulation, and I got them pretty early on, and so I was able to get them out and get them down, and it was very helpful.
Yeah, I thought this was a neat combination. I love the way the card interaction works. I love the dice drafting. I don't mind at all the central board, the mechanics of that, even though it's kind of attacky. It's not that big of a deal because you're just losing a victory point at each round. It's not a huge deal.
That you would say that.
Yeah.
No, it really wasn't. That was just a side thing that just so happened to be there for me. I mostly focused here. So for me, it wasn't as big of a deal, so I didn't really care. I did moan and groan about it every time someone bumped me, but it wasn't, I didn't get hurt by it or anything.
Yeah. And, I liked the orders, the way that they worked on both the central board and your local board. I thought it was a lot of neat mechanics all throughout this game. I can see why it earns the 190 rank.
No, I still like that mechanic. I like the fact that you just, for every card, you have to choose 4 different... you have to make a decision. There's 4 different ways to do this. Do it the best way possible. Because there was one time, I was so mad. The order was perfect for me. I had all the stuff. But the ability was just so powerful. And I was like, this is just stupid. I have to decide, do I want the order or do I want this special power? I ended up choosing the special power. And really sad that I never did end up using my wine. Or no, I did at the very last round because I forced it. But so I had this wine the whole entire game. It just sat there and
I think that was my only complaint with the game is the upgraded components really didn't feel like they were upgraded. They were needed for certain orders, but so was everything.
Well, okay, but you couldn't sell them either.
You couldn't sell them. Yeah, they were very limiting.
Don't get me wrong, it was very limited. You upgrade them and then they just sat in your inventory unless you had a specific order.
If you didn't put them in there, then they sat in your fields and they took up your production because you don't get production if there's something in the field already. So it's very.
There's no way to transport from here to over here.
No, you either have to. Well, there are. I got a card that had a special ability that would have allowed that.
Yeah, but it's not a standard.
But it's not a standard thing. No. But yeah, you're either delivering your goods from your fields to get them off your fields, or you're upgrading them into one of the special upgrades, like the wine or the whatever the cooking pot is.
Food. Yeah. I just thought it was food.
But
you need some dish.
You're not able to preserve the items that are in the field. So those free ones you get are blocked if you don't get them cleared off. And once you put them in there, there's not a whole lot of use for them. There's one of on the board delivery spaces that actually uses them, and then there were some of the orders that you got in your local cards, but not all of them.
Yeah, and only some. And that's what I'm saying is so it's like. Well, and that's where those donkeys come in. It's like, so when you did finally have something, it's like, okay, well, I have like 6 resources I need to get out of here, but I only have, 3 donkeys. Where am I going to get these other 3 donkeys? Mm-hmm. And you didn't roll any 6s, which happened way too often, where there wasn't enough of them to go around, and like you didn't have. It's just something to pay attention to.
Yeah,
it's another thing to pay attention to. So I think this game definitely has a lot of strategy. I think it has a lot of unique components. What would you score it, Randy?
I liked the way this worked a lot. I'm probably going to give this an 8.5.
Oh, wow. You really liked it.
I did. I liked the mechanics of this a lot. That's why I went ahead and backed it. I don't.
Yeah, I know.
I can't say I don't typically back something if I already own it. But at least I want to know I like the game a lot before I do it. This one I don't feel too bad about because, like I said, I paid like $10 for the game. So,
and I'm sure it will find another home somewhere else.
It definitely will.
But at the end of the day, so you're at an 8.5. I thought it was good. I thought it was cute. I think it was a little light on theme. I'm probably gonna, but there was a lot of cool things that were happening as far as skill games. I'm going to give it a 7.5. So I think there was a lot of cool stuff happening. I just think some of that flavor wasn't there for me. And that's normally with themes, so I shouldn't discount it here.
So but again, if you thought this was interesting, check out the Kickstarter. See if you think that the components are worth it. It's pricey. But you're getting it. The base game wasn't too pricey. If you got the deluxe version, I think it was like $85 for the deluxe. If you get the large, the oversized one, you get that on addition to the deluxe. That's where it gets pricey. So it's like $165 or $170 or something.
Ooh.
But we paid more than that for Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Giant.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait.
Yeah, we're still excited about that one. So, the fact that it is giant and you're getting it on top of the other one, and once you take that into account, $165, you're basically paying the same price for the deluxe for the giant. So it didn't seem like that bad of a deal. But I'm stupid. So I'm a sucker for components.
He really is, guys. It's so sad.
Yeah. So I'm just going to probably end up slowly replacing every game in my collection with the upgraded deluxe versions and have like this really expensive.
And if people wonder why they keep doing this, it's because of people like him.
And then when I die, you'll have something to sell.
Oh, because I'll be able to do that. I'll be able to pare it down a little.
Don't say that while I'm alive. That makes me sad.
No, I just won't ever forget. There's this game I really don't like. I eat, but that game will be here. I'm going to have it buried with you.
Well, you presume you're the only person I play games with, which is not true.
I'm the most important one.
Well, absolutely. But there's lots of people I play games with. And just because you didn't like it doesn't mean somebody else won't.
Well, we had a lot of fun tonight, so hopefully you guys will come and join us again to see some of the other reviews that we've got coming up.
Or check out the ones that you missed. There's lots of them in the backlog.
All right, well, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.